Baslenka shined against his old club. In the game of the year, his Cats got the dub. The Pies flexed their muscle to hang on to first, while the Dons have a tall man injury curse. Crack out the quince paste and finally aged brie because the season is turning around for the D's. The Lions look gold, the Eagles got rolled, and Daisy said sorry for calling Fags old. This is Triple M's Midweek Rub on a Wednesday. And as always, we have the three men in here to dissect all the week's footy action, starting with Joey Montagna.
Hello, Will. Nice to be here. Any news on Rabsy yet?
No news on Rabsy, so of course I'm still filling in.
Or the little feral that you referred to.
Yeah, Collingwood feral. Right, Collingwood feral.
No news on Rabsy just yet, so fingers crossed. And hopefully in the coming days. I think due date is this week. Damien Barrett joins us as well.
Hello to you and welcome back again, Will. I love the fact you made your debut on Nuff, Bernie Vince's segment on the Saturday Rub after your efforts last week. I liked it, but Daisy pulled you up, and that's what happens on Triple M.
That's exactly right. I feel like I'm one of the troops now, which is a nice place to be. And Daisy Thomas, good morning to you.
Good morning, all. Quince paste. Great addition to the intro, but also great addition to any sort of charcuterie board that you are rolling.
Oh, yeah.
You're a Quince man.
I am a Quince man, yeah.
Really.
With a bit of brie?
Bit of brie, yeah. A nice cracker as well.
Hard biscuit, yeah. Like it.
Yeah, very good.
Come a long way from
Oh, geez, have I ever?
Haven't you?
Well, mouldy cheese wasn't too far off the drill menu, but
the cheese slices one.
Now it's called finely aged. We need to address something.
Yeah.
Have you been punching on?
Yeah, it's a good point. I just
noticed that in the intro.
Yeah. I split my eyebrow on the way here this morning. It's not funny, but on the car door, I did drop off at school with Noah. I went and got coffees for Aaron and I on Hampton Street. And as I was opening the car door with the tray of coffees, the car doors clipped me on the eyebrow, Damo.
Wow.
And I think it's reopened an old wound, and it was profusely bleeding. So I've cut myself. So Aaron thinks I need to go and get it checked out and get a stitch.
You probably do.
I don't. Yeah, it was a good one.
Can we make light of it? You're okay.
No, I'm okay.
What does Aaron think?
It was good to get the. Hey,
What did Aaron think?
that I need to go and get a stitch.
I think I need you to tell the truth.
What about what happened?
Yeah, it's got these reeks of sort of
Don't
Stevie.
take it off.
Is it a good one?
You might need to go right now.
Is it a good?
Hang on, your story, you're okay,
No, I
though.
promise. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's
And
just,
the reason I do
what
ask
you
that,
reckon?
because...
You'd know. Do I need to glue it or staple, or I'll be right with just some? No, just a bit of. Yeah, it'll be right.
Should we tape you up, Joel Selwood style? And just get
Yeah, that's right.
George Wardlaw style from the weekend.
Just clip me right in the right
The
spot.
reason I do want to get you, I suppose, on the same page with your own story, because we had a bloke who used to work with us, and he too once had an eye injury. Wayne Carey. And he had three different versions of how he got that
he
eye
walked
injury.
into a door or something.
Walked into a door, fell over. He told someone he fell over. He told me he walked into a cupboard door, and he told someone else something else.
I reckon Bernie Vince had a similar story too.
He did
as
too.
Well.
Yeah.
So no, this is this
That's
happened
a
about
nasty way to.
It happened about an hour ago, just in the getting coffee. So anyway, oh good, thank you, Dale.
okay.
Thanks for your concern.
No worries.
Yeah.
And Days, you come off fresh off the agendas setters on Tuesday night for Channel 7, and I tuned in last night. Now, I did send you a text and say I tuned out after 6 minutes of Caro not taking a breath, and I didn't know you even spoke in the first segment. So this morning I got up and time-coded the segment. Now, you opened up early when Corn introduced you, and you had this to say right off the top.
Corn.
Yep. So that was the first little intro, about a minute in. You were not heard nor seen for another 11 minutes and 37 seconds, and then you had this to say.
Do you need someone in that role, though, who is feet on the ground?
So that was your only offering in the first segment.
11. I don't need you to do this, Damo, because now I'm going to have to say more, and potentially you're drawing attention to the fact that maybe I'm getting overpaid for underworked.
No, I'm actually raising this because Caro did not draw breath. I think she put the scuba suit on and just did not draw breath. I don't even know what she was talking. I tuned out.
It was good. She was talking about the updates with the AFL chief spot and all the names that have been thrown and their hats into the ring. So it was
fascinating.
It was very insightful.
So I was off the edge of the seat.
Well,
I was hanging onto the chair.
You know about this stuff, though. Like, I don't know. So I actually sit there and I'm intrigued as to what's happening because this is it.
Right.
I played, obviously,
You're
a lot
speechless.
of football. Well, arguably correct. But I didn't know what the chief does, really. Like, what's the actual role and what do you have to do? It seems like just a bit of a title to me. So getting some insight was good.
And are you off to the footy yourself on the weekend, Joey? For Foxtel?
Well, good one. I just do what I'm told. I don't even know what game I'm doing yet this weekend.
You'll be doing it from the studio in South Bank, won't you?
I'll worry about one day at a time.
Because BT was furious as
Boys
we...
will be at the Gabba for Brisbane S. And then
Will they?
I think, yes, they will be. I'll be in the studio hosting it, and then we'll cross to the boys calling it the Gabba.
But when there's an MCG game, Melbourne versus
obsessed.
Sydney...
He's obsessed, BT.
BT, just to remind people what he did say.
It's magnificent to be here. look across to the box next door of course, our opposition. None of them here today. They haven't come from the 2-kilometre trek from South Melbourne.
Yeah.
And it's just great that we are actually here feeling it, Al.
Well, it makes a difference being here. I'm off to Alice Springs next week to watch the D's, and
I'm off to Perth.
Oh, Rui was involved. Al Nicholson too, up to Darwin or wherever, Alice Springs, wherever he's off to. Did you get an official word as to what happened? Because we were sort of looking down, and I didn't realise till late in the piece when we were sort of at the M's, and as we do when we're having the most fun in a crap game, and you look around and you see who's next to us wishing they were in our box. But it was weird that there was nobody there.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was doing Triple M as well. I haven't heard. I haven't spoken to anyone. I just do as I'm told, Damo. I don't know. I'm sure there would have been a reason why, but I'm still sure it was a great call anyway.
And then the full page ad, from the studio, full page ad in the Herald Sun yesterday from Channel 7, we turn up. just to rub it right in.
Oh,
yeah.
They got to try something.
You're not allowed to say much on this, though, are you? You're very.
I don't really have anything to say.
Defensive, Joey.
You do.
I don't get defensive.
Just give us something.
Don't try and get me in these media wars.
Something.
I'm not biting. I'm not
Well,
biting.
why do you hate
There's enough
BT?
wars at this time of year. I don't need to get involved. Why do I hate BT?
Well, you said he wants to be on Fox twice now.
It sounds like BT might want to be at Fox.
Is there a fracturing in the St Kilda Mafia? Is Rui's going in there?
Because Rui did go.
Back at Rui.
Yeah, that's true. Rui's firing bullets.
Leave my Rui alone.
It's a bad look. You're not being there. Joey?
I was doing Triple M. Had nothing to do with me.
Yeah, it's not a great look, though, is it?
I'm not biting.
Well,
I think it should be a
I
Richard
think
Goyder
7
issue.
are nervous. That's all. That's all.
I think that's
I don't want to get in the wars. And I think
Seven's
seven
nervous. Seven's nervous.
There's your headline.
Well,
Just forget that.
Why are they nervous?
I don't want it. Why are we nervous?
People are buying KO and everyone's watching
Oh,
it.
here we go.
Because on Saturdays you can only watch it on KO.
I put it to
At least we're
you.
there on Saturdays, Damo. Where's Channel 7 on Saturdays?
I put this to you, Damo and Joey.
All right, I'm not getting in this.
You took the Seven's nervous, he said.
Clear
Can I get
that
that
one
sound
up.
like?
Did somebody from the Gold Coast Suns, after you, Rui, the St Kilda Mafia, and Ross Lyon try to take them down, calling them Nepo babies, were you jumped in Hampton this morning?
Yeah, that is. That's what it might have been.
No, that's exactly what it was.
Older man with hair. It might have been Bob East that just got me.
Did this man have no buttons done up on his shirt?
Yeah, that's it.
Did he look like Jeff Thompson?
Flying. Well,
Oh, dear.
Damo's news is going to come up next. Predictions to come as well as
Ambushed.
fair dinkum or Fugazi. You fully took the bait there, Joe. You got so
Seven's
nervous.
Well, I was trying to think between not getting involved but got to say something for radio.
Damo's news next on Triple M's Midweek Rub, thanks to BWS.
KO.
We're starting with Damo's news, and Alex Pearce is off the top of the agenda.
So confusion back into the AFL landscape on the back of the tribunal clearing Alex Pearce for the heavy hit on Darcy Byrne-Jones on the weekend. I say confusion because there had been a conditioning, certainly in the first 10 weeks of adjudication on the match review office and tribunal, that type of incident, that heavy knock, head contact moment, regardless of how it happened, was going to be receiving a sanction of 2 to 3 weeks. And Alex Pearce got that from the match review office, but the tribunal, I think in a decision that is more reflective of how the game is played, cleared him. I just raise it because 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, certainly around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, though that incident would have copped the 3 weeks that it initially got, for some reason the tribunal has decided to factor in the nuance that is at play in a game that is based on collision.
Yeah, and I'd heard some people that just presumed automatically, oh, yep, that's 3 weeks. I was a bit different. We argued this on the Sunday rub, Daisy, and I thought he had a case to answer because...
A case to answer or case to argue?
A case to argue that he could get off because to me there was no bracing contact sort of technique. There was no bump. And when you looked at it, he actually tried as much as he could to avoid the contact. He sort of left his arm to dangle. He almost half tried to pull it out the way. Once he knew the collision was inevitable a split second beforehand, unless he disappeared a moment before, I don't think he really had any other options. And I think he took precaution and care to try and not hurt Darcy Byrne-Jones. It didn't happen that way, but I'm actually glad that he got off this one. I can see why they won this challenge.
I love the fact that he got off. I've got no idea how. Like, when you look at all the examples before that and how many weeks, if it's been 1 week, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, the lottery that is, and you sit there and go, well, no, that's a footballing act. If we did it on that, they shouldn't be suspended whatsoever. And then you look at that, it's 3 weeks, they challenge and you're off. I'm delighted. I hope it continues like that. There needs to be space in the game for these sort of actions and acts because it's not deliberate. We all know that. If you've played the game, you can clearly tell his intention was to compete first, and then as part of that, there was contact made. Again, though, like, who knows? Will this change in a month?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm the same, but at least on the isolation of this case, there was, I feel, a concession given to the fact that there are nuances in this game and how the rules need to be applied, and it is being reviewed. I'd like to have faith in it coming out with a proper outcome, but let's probably face it, it's going to be more confusion.
What's being reviewed?
The actual match review offers gradings.
Oh, good.
The Michael Christian.
So they're bringing it up to speed with the
2025, yeah. I mean, this ultimately is a 20-plus-year-old system now that was brought in basically after the 2004 grand final.
Is there room in any of these, like the Tribunal, even AFL House, to have somebody in there, literally an ex-player or past player, just going, what do you think here? What was his options? Is 3 weeks fair? Is 1 week? Should this be?
Isn't that Michael Christian's job?
But again, like he...
But from what I understand with that, and he just gets sent a memory stick of incidents that have been flagged by other people, and again, that's his job. I don't knock Michael Christian in this whole process, but I'm with Daisy on this, Joey. I feel it should be someone who's prepared, someone who doesn't care for their own persona and public profile. A Jeff Walsh type, I'm not saying Jeff Walsh, but someone who's prepared to own the decision on behalf of the game, whereas at the moment, it's outsourced to a consultant as its starting point. So I'm with you.
Yeah.
Carlton, Graham Wright, as we know, has got a transition plan to take over from Brian Cook officially in October, once Brian Cook does stand down. He's been at Brian Cook's right-hand side all season. I believe strongly now that he will be given a full set of keys in July, and even yesterday presented alongside Brian Cook, or at least represented alongside Brian Cook in a meeting with the AFL that was held at the Carlton Footy Club. He's an agent of change, isn't he? And certainly what he did at Collingwood with moving of players off the list who had clogged up the salary cap, Brodie Grundy, Adam Treloar, Tom Phillips. There were others around that period of time. And then he also identified Sam Mitchell as the person he wanted to take over the coaching of the club after Nathan Buckley. He then obviously had the Hawthorn offer that he accepted. Then went and found Craig McRae. What he did at Collingwood, playing-wise and coaching-wise, was extraordinary. And obviously now he's got the charter to do something similar at Carlton. I expect Michael Voss to have the 2026 season honoured as per his contract, but there's coaches around him and officials around him that I think will be bolstered. And equally, the playing list is in a state of mess, which he will, I believe, seek to address.
I think the Carlton fans should welcome it, Daisy.
Absolutely.
Welcome Graham Wright coming in, making some change to the list and the football department, and hopefully get them better, because that's what he's there to do, and that's what Carlton need.
Hodgie was making a good point last night that if all the players at the top end who are taking a lot of that salary cap up decided in probably good faith, hey, we'll take, let's say if you're a Zach Williams who's been paid a lot of cash and not really in the role that he was, drop a couple of $100,000 off your paycheck to allow that everybody does that so we can get some better lower end talent through the door, if that makes sense. Your bottom 6 to 10 players. So you don't have to then go and trade out a Harry Mackay just to make sure that everyone else can stay.
Yeah.
Sort of an honesty system, if you will, for the betterment of the club to make sure, because I think if you do that, the sifting doesn't have to be too aggressive, that they can actually start to spot, because there's still so much talent on the list.
There is, but it falls away.
It's the bottom 6 that need to provide more.
I think what you're saying there too, it's easy for Hodgie to say that on the back of winning 4 flags with that type of mantra.
But again, is that because of that?
I
don't imagine tail wagging the dog? Or?
But the issue with Carlton, they've committed these long-term deals. They are long-term deals to these players that you're referring to, whereas Hawthorn never got themselves locked away into those deals. They were able to have the negotiation with the player who took less before he signed the fresh deal, and was still happy to do so. But yeah, it's a good point. Hey, Daisy, you mentioned, or you just did last night, Jake Waterman's situation with West Coast. Unfortunately for him, he has been ruled out for the remainder of the season with a serious shoulder injury. The only time he's had a proper crack at a season of footy was last year, where he kicked 50-plus goals and ended up being an All-Australian. It's unfortunate that we're not going to be seeing him again. Until 2026 at the earliest.
Yeah, you could see that his confidence with himself, with his body, and how the ball was being delivered, everything, he's sort of evolution of a footballer. And by playing some good footy was obviously at all-time highs. His last season was unbelievable in a side that doesn't get a whole lot of looks, and when it comes in, it's not overly pretty. He was a really important part. You feel for the bloke. Long-term injuries suck regardless, but when you've just sort of had a bad run and it looks like you're starting to come out the other side, it's unfortunate for him. And I think it's a good thing that the West Coast Eagles did actually honour and say, hey, we understand that you previously have played for less. Your last year was extraordinary. We will actually pay you what you're worth. It's unfortunate now he's not going to be out there, but I don't think that has anything to do with it. Wish him a speedy recovery.
Joey, you obviously know how Ross Lyon protects his patch and attempted to do so with the Nippo baby comments pre-match before the Gold Coast Suns game on the weekend, and then the retort from Damien Hardwick post-match. I love the whole theatre around it. I also love this layer of context to it as well when Sam Collins, who is now is he a two-time best and fairest?
Yep,
I think he is. Two-time
well.
All-Australian player, a great defender for the Gold Coast Suns. Reminded people that he once had a career playing under Ross Lyon and had this to say after the events of the weekend.
The last opinion of his I took was when he delisted me, so I don't care for his opinion anymore.
I love it.
It's a good line.
That's a good
line.
Ross cut him as a docker.
He did. I don't think Ross cares. I think good on Sammy Collins to have that. Was it coincidence they rolled Sam Collins out
No.
for this one? So, all good banter. And I like the rivalry. It's created some interest. It's good fun. I mean, a lot's been made of the comments. St Kilda, we know exactly what St Kilda are trying to do, and good on Gold Coast for defending their academy. It's been fun, and I think we've all enjoyed it.
Is it fun also that Dimmer's then playing an academy kid that St Kilda tried to get and then reference the word academy
sure
6
that's
times in his video?
Exactly what the academy's about.
I'm sure
And
that's
doing that on a
coincidence.
Tuesday when match selection is not till Thursday. No coincidence
I love it.
whatsoever.
I love it.
And
I'm
making
here.
sure when he did the speech, he made sure he mentioned the academies and how important they were in this. It's been good.
I'm
good
really
fodder.
coming around to the Suns' way of life this year. I'm embracing everything they're doing.
Good on him. That's part of, I think, them trying to be relevant. And
Yep.
just little things like that where Damien Hardwick's saying, no, we're relevant. We're big fish and let's go for it.
They're the second most recent AFL edition. Tasmania is hoping to be the new one come 2028, but there is still some nervousness around all of that. Brendan Gale was on the hustings last week and does a really good job as the installed CEO of the club, but just the acknowledgement that it's still at play, that the two houses of the Tasmanian Parliament need to vote on this stadium proposal, which yesterday officially and publicly was updated to now be a $945 million cost to the state, and there's ongoing costs attached to that. Anyone who's built or had cause to build or rebuild or renovate a house knows that whatever number you're given, you
Add
can
10%.
just add
10.
yeah, at least 10. Yeah.
Double it.
It's still in a precarious state, this, given the opposition to it on so many levels and of relevant levels too. But it's not a done deal that this gets through these two houses.
How, in this day and age, is there not somebody who can have some sort of forecasting tool that goes, right, if it's a 30,000, 20,000 seat boutique stadium, it's got a roof, this is how much money it should generate, when we have the Grand Prix coming in at whatever that brings into the economy, what that brings into the city. How is there somebody not with the foresight to go, hey, yes, it's going to cost us an absolute shit ton. We know that.
Well, I think because they haven't yet even turned one side of soil, and we know there'll be contaminated soil issues. They'll find something
I
that
don't
they
know.
won't
I
As
understand
protect.
the opposition, they were saying, well, that $945 million could be spent on
I
hospitals
get it.
and
I
roads
get
and
it.
everything
But
else.
it
And people are
can.
going, yeah, that's right. So
But when you've then got another, say it brings in however much money and pays for itself, and then you've got options to do that because you need to have bigger roads and wider roads because people are coming in. Your house prices are going up because it's a destination of travel. People want to be hiring out Airbnbs, and that might just be far too logical from the way I look at it and from the way I sort of look at things in general. But if it doesn't go ahead or the stadium is done half-assed, I think they'd be kicking themselves.
Yeah, and that's the point that's being made. And I thought Brendan Gale last week at a media breakfast, which was on record that I did attend last week, did say that the politics of the AFL system will ultimately win this battle if the politics of the real politics in Tasmania say no to the stadium at this stage. There's obviously scope for renegotiation after that, but you're playing a dangerous game with the politics that will then come in because there's already opposition to it from club level about this club coming in already. They've granted the licence on the back of what the AFL said. Stadium with roof will give the licence. Anything less than that, the clubs will say no.
The stadium that Brendan Gale put out on his Instagram.
I saw Daisy Mail you put up there. It looks great.
It looks awesome.
Yeah.
Like 2 levels, perfect. It looks unbelievable. So, again, fingers crossed it happens because I think if that does come in, the amount of travel people will be doing for your boys' trips or whatever, you would just go away for the weekend down to Tassie. Absolutely.
Tips to come on the Triple M Midweek Rub, including a huge game at the MCG on Friday night. But up next, it's fair dinkum or Fugazi. This is Triple M's Midweek Rub with Joey, Daisy and Damo. State of Origin is on tonight across Triple M and the Listener app. Just quickly, are we excited for State of Origin?
I am.
Always look forward to it.
Dan Ganane calling, tell me yes.
Yes. So, starting with you, Joey, in 2025, there is another state in Australian football that would put up a competitive Origin match against Victoria.
Fair dinkum. They'd be competitive. Western Australia or a South Australian side. Probably Western Australian side at the moment. I think would be stronger. We've had an argument here. I'm all for State of Origin. It's not going to be like the 1980s and all that, but it's still worth. People will go to watch it, particularly if it's not sort of oversaturated and every year. And the players will play in it. I think Toby Green would love to play with Christian Petrarca in a Victorian team. The players would want to do it every couple of years. I'm all for it.
Would it grow to a point where it did become actually fierce and vicious?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so ever?
No.
Okay.
No. And the only time in the calendar that I see it working is the same time of the calendar they play the Indigenous All-Stars game this year. And that's when it will be.
And more of an exhibition game than a competitive.
Before the season starts. So, and you're right. And that will have a factor on it where it's not like it once was in the glory days.
We understand that. Yep.
Damo, Adelaide has the third best percentage in the competition, but they are yet to beat a team in the top 7. Their top 4 spot currently flatters them.
Fugazi, because the ladder doesn't lie after 11 games, but I do have doubts in the big picture just to sort of layer that answer. They do not win a game they're not expected to win, and I do worry about that, particularly against Collingwood.
Daisy, Melbourne supporters should contact their travel agents to pause their September travel plans.
Pause is a good word. I'll say fair dinkum on pausing because, they're probably going to have their best and fairest in the first week of September as well, so they might want to go to that. Look, their turnaround's been awesome. It's great to see by the numbers, their points for 4 per game, about 5 goals more than what they did in those first 6 rounds of the season. Their contested footy numbers since round 6 off the charts. It's good to see the club is actually looking like it's being spoken about for the first time in a while for all the good thing that's going on. So I hope that continues. Are they going to play finals? I'd probably say no, but would I be holding on my holiday plans? Yes, I would be pausing fair dinkum.
Joey, 3 votes on the weekend in his 250th game on the Triple MVP. Toby Green is the greatest giant of all time.
Yeah, that's fair dinkum. 2-time best and fairest, 3 All-Australians, 4-time leading goal kicker, leader of the club now. I think there's no doubt that he is the greatest ever giant.
Jeremy Cameron, the only
probably
real
behind
danger
him.
to that.
Yep.
Cal Ward, perhaps, but I guess
Carl Ward's played the most games and been
longevity,
since. I think we'd all say that what Toby Green's done for that football club has been more impactful than any other player.
Damo, it would only take one more bad loss for Port Adelaide to pull the trigger early on their coaching succession plan.
I'm of that view now, Will, so fair dinkum to that. I wasn't that way at the start of the year, but the 4 bad losses they've now had, where they just have not been at all competitive after half-time of those 4. The most recent was the Fremantle loss on the weekend. To me, it's already one too many, and one more would definitely put it into that zone.
From a footballing point of view, Joey, and you can go the media point of view in SA, it's the right decision, you think, from a footballing point of view, to give Josh Carr a chance to do it his way.
Yeah, why not?
But what happens if there are some more 60, 70-point losses?
Nothing. Doesn't matter.
Nothing from a footballing point of view?
No.
From a media point of view and a sell?
It's not going to be the scrutiny and the I suppose the dissection of it if they make the decision. Yeah,
do they gain anything by it though?
I feel they do, because I feel it's getting worse now, and I do feel I use the phrase check out, but just look at the numbers after half-time of those 4 games in question. They've conceded 70 shots at goal in totality in those 4 matches to only having 24 themselves, and the game's already lost at that point already. So that's my take on that. And to lose, I don't think you'd lose anything. No.
Yeah, don't think there's much to lose. You can gain a little bit if he took over and they played much better footy, changed some positions, started trying to change their game plan, get a little head start on next pre-season.
Daisy, Thursday night after a 5-day break, Brisbane should use this opportunity to rest some of their oldest stars against a depleted Essendon at home.
You've got to find a way to still win the game, as Collingwood have done in their sort of approach to these things, but we know that it is a marathon, not a sprint. So Brisbane, if they are, and a couple of them are banged up, but also there would have been planning done throughout their pre-season as to when players weren't going to play, which was a thing that Collingwood also do. That's the model that I'm sort of most across, so I'll keep referencing it. They should stick to that, and they're in a position now with how they've started the season to see that out and to have the best chance for these players to be playing good football at the back end of the year.
Joey, if they had their time again, Carlton wouldn't have traded out Matthew Kennedy.
Nah, Fugazi, I don't like hindsight because it didn't work at Carlton with him in the same midfield as Hewitt and Shearer and Cripps, and everyone complained that they were 2 same. They were one pace, they were one-dimensional. So they allowed him to leave. Now, credit to him, he's playing unbelievable footy, and it's a great get by the Dogs. But I think it's too simplistic to just say if he had stayed at Carlton, he'd be playing like that this year and they'd be in the finals. It doesn't work like that.
Like the answer, Joey.
Damo, Sam Collins' comments that we just heard before about Ross Lyon this week were entertaining and more players should speak as candidly as him.
Absolutely. With exclamation marks, fair dinkum. Yeah, I would hope more players could go down that path. Obviously, with two best and fairest and all Australians behind him, he's got the clout to do it. And when the opportunity arose, he seized it. And I liked it. And I think there could be more scope. I mean, Bailey Smith is going down that path.
I was going to ask that. As candidly as Sam Collins, but as candidly as Bailey Smith speaking with his comments?
Yeah.
Do you like the candidness of Bailey Smith?
Yeah, I mean, I did have a slight issue with the nose beers commentary. I say that because I'm all for freedom of speech and I love what Bailey Smith has done. But the AFL, and I'm not saying an issue, it's more the AFL. They've effectively, as we talk, and we time code it now, 10:30 Wednesday, they've effectively chosen to walk past it. And again, I'm not a prude when it comes to this situation, but they chose to fine Ken Hinkley $20,000 for daring to say you're not flying Jack. They chose to fine Bailey Smith for giving the double bird to a supporter who, in my mind, deserved the double bird. Now, again, you're walking past this matter. Different conversation. Back to the Sam Collins, fair dinkum.
Are we giving too much air to these people on social media?
Yep.
Like, I know Baz responded, but it was a response to a ridiculous comment on his story. Like,
And Daisy, to wrap us up, where was I?
Oh, no.
Here we go.
Now
Speaking
it's
of the Suns.
5 minutes before halftime this week.
13 wins was enough to play finals in 2024. At 8-2, we can officially call it the Gold Coast are morals to play in September for the first time.
Fair dinkum. Lock them in. I told you that at the start of the season. You can now jump on board 11 rounds into the season.
You told us that at the start of 2024 as well.
I did, yes, foreseeing the future. But no, if they miss finals from here, it would be an absolute indictment on the footy club. They can't. They just simply can't.
No,
so they'll be playing finals for the first time. Well done to them. Go Suns.
All the round 12 predictions and tips up next on Triple M's Midweek Rub with Joey, Daisy and Damo. Catch all the games across Triple M on the Listener app this weekend for round 12, starting with Brisbane taking on Essendon at the Gabba. And Joey, is it as simple as that for the Lions? And they are very short favourites with the bookies.
Yeah, I think so. Even if Brisbane do rest a few of the veterans, like you suggested in fair dinkum or Fugazi, Brisbane I think they just win this. It'd be a miracle for the Bombers to try and pull this off. I hope they do. It'd be one of the great upsets. Just can't see it.
Yeah, just can't see a way the Bombers can go near the Lions in this one, particularly with Langford and Reid, the latest two to go down.
Agree.
Damo, Collingwood versus Hawthorn, MCG Friday night.
I just love what Collingwood's done. I loved how they had 9 players out of their best 23 last week and still got the job done against North Melbourne. 5 of those 9 come back for this particular game for the purpose of being rested last week. A lot of them, they're ready for this game, that they've set themselves for this game. I expect a statement from Collingwood in this game and one that makes it a bit worrying for Hawthorn, just in that big picture way.
I might have a bad read on this, but I'm tipping the Hawks, which is something I don't usually do. But I think as long as they haven't been zapped too much from their last couple of games, that against the Brisbane Lions and the Gold Coast Suns, I reckon they would have learnt more from those 2 losses than any other game this season. They had opportunities in both of them they didn't take. I think they'll come out. They need to get a win, staring down the barrel of 3 losses in a row. And a close game and hopefully a game that lives up to the hype. I'm going to tip the Hawks.
Yeah, I'm more with Damo here. Hard to tip against the Pies with some players back fresh. Hawks are just spluttering at the moment, so I think Collingwood deserve to be favourites, probably should win.
Daisy, Gold Coast versus Fremantle. That's up on the Gold Coast this weekend.
It's on the Gold Coast, so the Gold Coast Suns win.
Hard to see Fremantle win this. Gold Coast are playing good footy. They're very hard to beat at home, so I think the Suns will win.
Yeah, the 2 games in Darwin, followed by the grinding win against the Saints. So I like that grinding win. I reckon they've just got their minds right this year, the Suns, and I just can't see how they'll let this slip. As impressive as the Dockers have been in the past 2 weeks, Gold Coast narrowly for me.
Becomes a massive game for your Freo Dockers.
This one?
Yeah.
If they can win this.
If they can win this one, then they've got North Melbourne straight after the bye.
Yep.
That's a season that we were sort of critical of at the start of the year, and they'd be very close. They're 9th at the minute. They'd be nearly in the 80.
They've had a really good fortnight.
It'll change the narrative about Fremantle if they win this.
Yeah.
The next 3 are all at Optus Stadium against 3 winnable games. I think it's North Essendon and Port Adelaide. So
St Kilda,
North Essendon and St Kilda. So they could really get on a roll.
Joey, we then head to Sydney for the Giants against Richmond at NG Stadium.
The Giants for me. Giants for me. They'll win that easy.
Giants for me.
Giants for me.
Then we head to Sydney, Damo, for the Swans taking on Adelaide. That's at the SCG on Saturday night.
I'm, having just said what I said before about the Crows not winning games, I'm going to go for the Crows in this without any great confidence. Sydney Swans usually respond to bad losses and they need to, but I think that the Crows need to make a statement of sorts. Sydney's not the biggest scalp they're going to get this year, but it'll be a good win. So Crows.
Hey, I don't like what I'm seeing with Sydney. I think their spirits look broken. They look all over the shop. I think this is Adelaide's chance to make a statement. Yep, and they should win.
I think for Sydney, it's just they don't have the cattle at the minute. If they should respond, there'll be something that they do because they are a proud football club. But Adelaide, it's a game they should be winning.
And Daisy, there's only 2 Sunday games this weekend, the first of which is Melbourne against St Kilda in Alice Springs.
Yes, the Sunday Rub boys will be covering this live from the studio. Again, it becomes a tough one because the Alice scenario, the type of ground, the way it's going to be played, I lean towards Melbourne for what they have done. But again, the Ross Lyon masterclass that you're promising every week and every time they're in front, Melbourne should be winning this one. And again, if they're going to frank their form and continue to turn this season around, this is one they just have to win to make sure that that's all worth it.
Unless Rossi can find a way to slow down Cozzy Pickett, they can't win. So I'm going the Demon. He's playing incredible footy.
They've only had one bad quarter. And when I say bad, it was a game
last quarter against the Hawks.
Yeah, when they were up to their eyeballs at 3/4 time of that game in the past 6 weeks. So Melbourne for me.
And Joey, finally, West Coast taking on Geelong. That's the Sunday night game.
The most interest to be Jezza Cameron and whether he can extend his lead in the Coleman. This is his big chance to win it. He'll need to kick another 7 or 8, and he's probably got it in him if he plays, if they take him.
Ooh.
Do they rest players as well, the Cats? Well, they're a team
No,
that are
I get it. I was just a bit of theatre. Cats for me, comfortably.
It would be smart
Maybe,
to rest him.
yeah.
I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
But equally be smart for him to play and kick another
Fill his
6 or
boots,
7
yeah.
as he's done the past 2 weeks already. So, the Cats win. It's just a matter of how many points.
You can catch every game across round 12 on Triple M and the Listener app starting tomorrow. And that game is up in Brisbane against Brisbane and Essendon. This has been Triple M's Midweek Rub.
He needs to get to the doctor.
Immediately. Yeah.
I'll have to go
And
get
if
a
you
doctor
did
look
see
at
the
it.
person who assaulted him, 133353, ring in. We need some fodder for Sunday.
Triple M's Midweek Rub.